Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to continue looking at the May-June 2022 Paper 2 exam for CSEC POB. And so we covered question 1 and 2 in the two previous videos, and so we're going to cover question 3 in this video and question 4 in the next. So if you want to see that one, question 4, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to know when we drop that video for question 4, and of course share some more. So let's just jump into this question here. Question 3 is asking us, cottage and linkage industries play a vital role in the economic development of Caribbean economies. So we train out some big words here, cottage industry and linkage and stuff like that. Question asking us, list 4 characteristics of cottage industries. So what are cottage industries? You have to know that first. And as the name suggests, these are small businesses that are run out of the homes of the entrepreneur or entrepreneurs. So that's a cottage industry right there. And so if we jump into our textbook, we can see page 185. We can see the definition of a cottage industry right here. It says a cottage industry is one of the smallest forms of businesses. It involves small-scale production of handcrafted items in home or within a local community. The main characteristics of a cottage industry are as follows, and that's what we're looking for, the characteristics. And so they say list, and so we're looking at just some, one-worders or something like that. And so here we can see the characteristics of the cottage industry. 1, it is home-based, meaning that normally they operate out of the home of the entrepreneur, sometimes maybe in a church hall or something, but normally it's home-based. That's one characteristic. 2, use mainly manual labor. So they normally use their hands-on, or maybe some small tools or so, right? But no lot of mechanization going on in any cottage industry. Usually manual labor. 3, normally they use family labor, mommy, child, husband, whatever, family labor, because it's small scale. Like they say in the 4th point, it's small scale production. And so you're not going to be hiring, persons that require X amount of money. Small scale. May use local raw materials. They normally try their best to use locally made, locally sourced raw materials. Picture making the jam, jellies. You might want to get the guava, the local guava, or the local sorrel, the local orange, whatever. You're making a sugar cake, you get your local coconut, whatever. So you normally use local raw materials. Maybe finance from personal savings, and need only a small amount of capital, right? It's from the home. You have to rent no property, anything like that. And so you normally need only a small amount of capital. So those are some of the characteristics of the cottage industry. And of course, you can always look in your textbook to see other information on cottage industry. And so just like that, you would have gotten your 4 marks for that question. Okay, so the next one now. 2 marks for this one. State 2 examples of products manufactured by cottage industries in the Caribbean. And so in answering number 1, we were able to mention a few. So let's look at some here in the textbook. Examples, we have your jams, your jellies, your sugar cake, other kind of cake. You have sauce. You have certain clothing design like tie-dye and those things. Of course, you have your handcraft items. You might carve out something for the tourists and things like that. Maybe handcraft jewelry, those kind of things. Handcraft instruments. You may make a little flute, a little guitar. All those are examples of things that are done in a cottage industry. And you don't have to think too hard for this one. Just think about it. You go to your school, you see somebody with a local tray, they got a candy, the fudge, what they call that one, your job breaker, whatever candy they may have made home, right? You have your guava cheese, those kind of things. You have your local drinks, man got the local drinks, your star fruit, your star apple, whatever local drink you might get, ginger beer, marby. You have your jam, your tamarind jam, your gooseberry jam, whatever jam you might want, guava jam. You have your sugar cake with the coconut and everything. You have your coconut tarts. You have your little clothes that might make for tourists to sell, tie-dye. You might have your handcraft, little a little souvenir that they might sell. So all those are examples of things that persons would make in their home and try to sell to a little niche market. So those are examples. I gave a lot. Let's say state 2 example of products manufactured by cottage industry in the Caribbean, and so you have a lot to choose from. I mean, manufacture is a strong word, right? Because it's cottage industry. All right, next one, B. Outline one way in which stakeholders in the tourism industry may benefit from cottage production. So we keep answering questions that, you know, they're asking ahead of time. So we answered it already. Tourism, because a lot of the stuff that you would make in the cottage industry can be marketed directly to the tourism industry. For example, souvenirs. That's one way that they can connect. You can go and carve something of your island. Also, a lot of stuff that are locally made are in high demand for the tourism, from the tourists and the tourism industry. Sometimes even what you eat, you go to a hotel, they might want a locally made sauce, and so the tourism industry can benefit from the cottage industry because they are the ones producing the authentic local whatever, whether it's the local sauce, the local drinks, the local pastries, the local food, right? The different kind of souvenirs that are made with local material, whether it is local wood you might have found on the shores, or maybe even shells that you find on the shores. So you can already see, I mean, all of us in the Caribbean, and we have seen where we can go to where tourists come about, and we see people selling these things as souvenirs that they would have made, right? Sometimes you go and make your own craft and sell it, make a little money on the side. So you can see how the stakeholders in the tourism industry may benefit from the cottage production. You're able to get that authentic flavor of the local cuisine, the local crafts, the local souvenir. So you can see how those two industries can help each other. Right? Because a lot of people who engage in the cottage industry tend to target tourists as the target market. They tend to target the hotels to get the authentic stuff. Sometimes tourists come and they ask specifically for locally made stuff. Right? So you can see how those two have a good marriage right there. Right? So that's how you answer that one for B. Look at this right here in the book. You can see all these handcraft items that can be sold to tourists. Where you get a calabash bowl them right there. You have your coal pots. You have whatever these are, maybe a little broom or whatever. You have baskets, you have clay pots, you have spoons. So you can see that tourists would more be the ones who want those things. You weave this, you weave that from locally made products. See now, say, differentiate between primary production and secondary production, stating one example of each. Differentiate between primary production and secondary production, stating one example of each. A very straightforward question this one is. So primary production would be from the extractive industry. It involves extracting raw materials from the earth, whether it is on the surface or the crust or wherever, but the primary production involves extracting raw materials from the earth, such as food from agriculture, gold from a gold mine, oil from the earth, diamond, platinum, whatever you want to cut, whatever else you want to do. Say, you log, timber from a forest. You extract all those from the surface of the earth. So that's the primary production or the extractive industry. Secondary now is where you either construct or manufacture something using raw materials. And so secondary production involves construction, manufacturing, or processing. So you take the food that you would have gotten from agriculture, let's say carrots, and you make carrot drink, right? You take the oranges from the orchard and you make juice. You take the gold from the mine, you make jewelry. You take the timber from the forest and you make furniture. So you can see how those two levels of production are different. So if we want to get more bookish, we have it right here. Primary production. Primary production specializes in the extraction of natural raw materials such as food crops, oil, coal, wood. Right? Primary industries include agriculture, fishing, forestry, mining, quarrying. The extraction of natural resources is often the first stage of production for most other goods and services. Then you have secondary production, or manufacturing, or constructing, or processing. Secondary industries produce finished goods from natural resources and semi-finished goods. Manufacturing these goods includes refining and processing and natural resources, the production of parts and components, and the assembly into finished consumer goods and capital goods, right? So, example here, fish processing. In Jamaica, fish caught offshore taken to the fish processing plant, where they are cleaned, prepared, and packaged for local export market. Oil refining in Trinidad, etc. Right? So those are the examples right there. Bottling water, bottling rum, all those things are examples of secondary production, processing. So just like that, you would have gotten your 4 marks. Right? All right. D. Outline one benefit of increased capital on the growth of a business. Outline one benefit of increased capital on the growth of a business. So of course, as a business grows and you're able to access more capital, then of course, benefit, you can invest, right? You can invest in the growth of the business. For example, you can hire more people, you can hire more skilled persons, more skilled managers that can help your company become more efficient. That's one benefit right there. You can invest in advancing your human capital to make your business more efficient. Apart from that, you can now invest in expansion, such as a new branch, right? You can invest in a new branch, and so you can create expand your reach in the market because you have more money and you can now expand. You can buy a branch, franchise, whatever you want, but you can expand now with increased capital. So you can invest that way. There are other ways that you can benefit from increased capital. You can invest in more equipment, more advanced equipment, so that you can produce, your production capacity can increase, you can produce more efficiently. Sure, you might end up with, letting go some of your human capital for that, but you can mechanize even easier because mechanization costs money. But you can mechanize, meaning, bring in equipment and stuff like that. But that would ensure that you help you to become more efficient also. Because the reality is, machines are faster and more effective, more efficient than human beings when they're operating properly. I mean, when they have a breakdown, they have a breakdown. But for the most part, mechanization in certain industries can be more beneficial. Let me clarify, certain industries. Because some things, I know right now people are running scared about AI taking over all the jobs, but there are some industries that mechanization or AI would not really help with. So those are some benefits that you can get from increased capital and the growth of a business. So that would be 2 marks. They say outline. So remember in CSEC, when they say outline, we're not listing. Right? We're not listing. We're outlining, meaning use up the lines that are before you. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Use them up as much as possible. Outline. So invest in more advanced equipment, which can help the company become more efficient and increase their output so that they can increase their profitability. Invest in hiring more skilled personnel, more workers, so that the company can become more efficient and increase output and increase their profit margins. They can invest in expanding the company so they can advance their market share. They can expand their market share so that they can become possibly more profitable. Right? So outline, do not just list. And the last one, a 6 marker for what I consider a very relatively easy question, a 6 marker. Explain 2 ways in which linkage industries assist in economic development of a country. Wow. This one about application now. So explain 2 ways in which linkage industries assist in the economic development of a country. So first and foremost, you have to understand what we're talking about when we say linkage industries. And so I did an entire video on linkages, production. So we're talking about backward linkage, forward linkage, those kind of things. So you can look at that video to get a better understanding. So let's talk about what our books say about linkage industries. Like I said, I did a video on that one, so you can go and refer to that video. Okay, so benefits of linkage industries, right? So here we go. Linkages can encourage large-scale production and create additional businesses and employment opportunities right there. Economic development, because they are creating additional business and thus creating additional employment opportunities. Linkages. So that's one benefit right there. We can outline right there because it said to explain two ways. So let's explain it then, right? Now with linkages allow for local resources to be fully utilized or be utilized more. For example, let's go up and look at some of the diagrams here. Look at this right here. Linkage. You have forward linkage, backward linkage. You have Sweet Sunset Farm. We have Preserving Company. We have the Blue House or whatever, the restaurant or whatever it is. So if you look at this, okay, let's look at the coffee industry. Primary industry will be the farmers who are farming the coffee, growing the coffee, right? So based on this explanation, you'll understand. So the farmers are in the primary industry. Those who take the raw material, the coffee, grind it into coffee beans, bag it, sell it, that's the secondary. Then you have the tertiary now, which is service, right? The service level, where they would take that coffee and turn it into a beverage that they sell in the coffee shops, hotels, restaurants, in the supermarkets, etc. So right here you can see where jobs can be created, where development can take place. Because you see now, if there wasn't a secondary industry for coffee, then where would the primary go? Where would they grow coffee? So there would be nobody working on the coffee farms then, or the demand for persons to work on the coffee farm would not be that high. But because we know coffee is a big industry, so therefore the demand for workers on the farm will increase, demand for processors, so that's job right there being created, then brewers, and everybody can make a good cup of coffee. So right there you have somebody, a whole coffee shop industry can open up. Look at Starbucks. Starbucks is based on coffee. And so you can see how linkages can lead to economic development. Jobs are being created, new businesses are being created, and so therefore more revenue can be created in the economy. So all these are value being added to the coffee product. So value being added within the economy. So could you imagine, you have a good coffee, tourists come, they want to get the best coffee. Look at Jamaica and the Blue Mountain coffee. Look at that. Persons working in the industry, they export, you earn revenue for the country. You get renown for the country get more popular, that can target tourists to come into the country to go and see how the beautiful Blue Mountains are, etc. Right? So you can see how these linkages can help with economic development because they create jobs, they create businesses. You're able to earn an income, earn money. The country can earn revenue. They said domestic and surplus level production may increase. This can allow countries to reduce their reliance on imports and increase exports. This will help to improve their balance of payments and economic development. So let's go back to a coffee example in Jamaica. So Jamaica can manfully not import any Folgers and Nestle coffee because you have the Jablum coffee, you have the High Peak coffee, you have all kind of different type of coffee over there. And so you realize that would keep the money inside the country. Instead of importing foreign coffee, you keep it inside the country. Now this example can be stretched to any kind of industry, banana industry, whatever crops, those kind of things. But you get the idea that it can improve domestic production, increase it, and so cut down the reliance on imports, so that keep the money within the economy, within the country. Industries can learn from each other, spreading best practices, techniques, encouraging innovation, and making more efficient use of natural resources and reducing wastage. Same example, let's look at coffee again. When the coffee is processed, you can take the husk and send it back to the farm to use as fertilizer right there. So reduce wastage, so you can reduce pollution. You are using the natural resource more effectively. Let's say here it can encourage innovation, because when you go to look at Starbucks has so many different types of drinks, right? So many different types of blends and mixtures, frappuccino, macchiato, all kind of different things on the Starbucks menu. innovation, right? You can build a business around the coffee shop, right? People come in, do their work, etc., etc. Reduce the risk of disruption to the supply. So this is very important. Because this stuff is being sourced locally, then that means you don't have to import them. And so you're able to restrict that disruption in the supply chain. What if a boat doesn't come? What if we're relying on importing coffee to make the drink? What if the boat doesn't come? Right there, there's a disruption in the supply chain. But if your stuff are being sourced locally, you can just run down the road, drive wherever, collect them. You don't have to put them on a boat, import them, ship them. The sea might be rough, might delay, weather delay the transportation, etc. When it's locally sourced, it reduces disruption. So you can see how all of this can lead to the economic development of the country. So create jobs, create business, allow for more earnings, allow for increase in domestic production, allow for less imports and even increase exports so the country can make more money, allow for more foreign exchange to come into the country. So you can see all the benefits of linkages in the economy. And so they asked to explain 2 ways, and I gave you a whole bunch, right? So you take any, explain it, 3 marks each, and you're good to go. Alright, so that's it for the mid-June 2022 paper 2 for POB. Like I said before, you want to know when we drop question 4. What is question 4? Let's get a preview of question 4 here now. Question 4 is all about what now? Identify 2 missing links in the distribution. So we're talking about marketing and logistics and those things. So stay tuned for that one. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when Learn SKN drops that one. Alright, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.